Order game, no. Forward.
Call the budget committee meeting of August 7th to order,
6:45
6:44.
ish.
Okay, so going at the agenda, the first thing on the agenda is approval for the minutes from May. Jamie had that, she sent that out. If anybody needs a copy, we can. I have it one here, but.
I think I spelled Jerry's name wrong.
It is with a J.
It's with a J, so I will fix
Okay.
that.
Good to know.
I move we approve the minutes with this change you just made.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Connell. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Great.
Moving on.
Yes.
Amanda, do you want to take?
So we were talking about following up, discussion of action items. Michael has given us this, draft of our calendar, our budget committee calendar for 2025. School year 2024 into 2025. We want to add the board meeting to the calendar for information purposes. And we're talking about moving the meeting to the second Wednesday of the month from the last Wednesday of the month, so that it falls in between the school board meetings, so that if we have to work with the school board or collaborate with the school board, that we have a more timely way to do that. So, but in order to change that meeting, I think we need to vote on to move it. So.
I'll make a motion that we move the budget committee meetings from the fourth Wednesday to the second Wednesday at 6:30.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Michael.
Any discussion?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And we should start that probably for, right? Being August now, so September. Or are we doing it in August, because this is a makeup meeting from July?
This is a makeup meeting from July.
So the August meeting is what day?
I think it would be great if
Next.
we could start it in September.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Fine by me.
Because I have 4 meeting nights next week.
Just making sure.
Okay, so we'll start it in September.
Is that all right?
I think that's
Okay.
And the date will be
fine. Let me just,
second Wednesday.
it is the
September
11th.
11.
And Michael has that on our calendar too. So,
I don't think you'll want to do a meeting on the 14th, right? 'Cause we're doing this one tonight.
right, no,
Okay.
thank you.
And
Are you sure? 'Cause
still
it's on the-
6:30, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
it's on the calendar. You want to
I'll
start that?
cross it off.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so we're striking 8/14.
Mhm.
I got it.
All right. So next is the budget committee 101. Or sorry, first of all, Michael, is there anything else you want to talk about with the calendar?
We were just finishing up the discussion about January 15th versus the 22nd or whatever.
Okay.
So
So just to recap, 11/16 is a Saturday, Chris, and 12/7 is a Saturday as well. Those are two tentative Saturday meetings,
We may not need the second one,
right,
or we may not need the first one, right? And take the second.
right. And then 12/18 is being changed to 12/11, just the wrong date.
Yep.
And then
We'll send you a new one.
yeah,
Good.
on 1/8, we're gonna have a joint meeting with the board and finalize the budget with them on that date.
So that will be added in 1/8.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
gonna be added, and we're,
Yep.
Okay.
The TBD budget committee to finalize and adopt budget and warrant, that's the date we're trying to figure out now, right?
is that's,
Oh, gotcha.
or is that the 1/8 date?
I think that's the 1/8 day,
Oh, okay.
yeah. That's the 1/8 day.
Okay, so then I'll put 1/8 and put it in the
I
right
think,
place.
although we are, oh, hold on, let me think about
Cause
process.
that's right after the
No.
budget hearing.
You're right, because it could be changed at the budget hearing. So then they have to, they meaning administration, right, who handles the MS-27. They have to go back and fill in all the blanks if anything got changed and set the warrant article for us to ratify it. So that will probably hit the school board's next meeting thereafter, I would say. That makes most sense. So the next school board meeting after the 15th of January is,
20th?
it's the. So we meet no, 27th. Right?
No, because it'll be the 20th, because your first one is the 6th, and then your second one will be the 20th.
Now, that's Martin Luther King Day, so does that matter?
We're talking second and fourth, correct, of the school board.
School board is second and fourth.
I'm just gonna be. This is
Oh.
not my thing. I
School
can't
board meetings are the second and fourth.
So that would be the
We
13th,
established that, but I'm not
that would
sure.
be the 13th and the 27th.
I'm just gonna be quiet.
January 13th.
So let me know when to show up.
13th and 27th. And let me just see when though they have to post the warrant and the budget by the 24th. So that ain't gonna work, it's 27th. So I think you're right. I think we have to put a day in there. Why don't we put in 120,
Okay,
Monday
In
the
the
20th?
TBD?
is that
I think
Martin Luther King Day?
Yeah,
Oh, shit, okay. So you wanna go to 122?
I think we're gonna have to.
Well, it's already there. First day to declare.
yeah, it's
candidacy.
nothing. It's,
Okay.
I mean,
So-
it's an important date, but it's
So would
it's
you
not a
rather-
meeting.
I think Wednesdays works for most of us, right? So
Yes.
if we have to be at a if we have to, we can find out from Misty if we have to hold this meeting.
Okay.
If there aren't any changes to the budget at the budget hearing, I think you can do all that the night of the hearing. You can close the hearing, so we do, and then open up the whatever and vote it. But if somebody changes anything at the meeting, you gotta redo the documents.
Right.
So you have to have another meeting. If nothing changes at the hearing, you can close the hearing and then open it and vote it, so we wouldn't have to have that.
Okay,
Let's just do stellar jobs so nothing changes.
Well, no, but your people at the hearing can make,
I know.
they can make suggested changes. Too. So, I think it's just, maybe we can ask Misty, if necessary, right?
Yes.
Cause maybe we can do this. On the 15th, I don't know, maybe you have to tell them that, but we'll
But for
ask that
now-
question.
I'll
Now
put
that
that
two
as the
questions.
22nd
Yeah, I think so,
and leave it there.
Okay.
Okay, I think that,
Handles the count. All right,
we put in a meeting in March, or we don't.
I think because after we get,
thought you had one,
do we get who's,
or do you want a day off? Oh, sorry.
I don't know. We could do one in, we could just, if it's the second Wednesday,
I think
we could just,
the one in
Put 'em all
March
out.
would be your,
your annual,
no, new people get elected, so
right.
it would be your, what do we call ours?
Officer induction,
Yeah, we
whatever.
have a name for it.
Initiation,
Coordinating, or
Amazing.
whatever it is, yeah, one of those.
we're all gonna get.
No. Yeah, cause you would know by your normal time frame.
Right,
Cause March 11th is Tuesday.
yeah, so then put one in for March, please, Michael.
Yeah,
Okay.
Why don't you know what, this. We can put them all in for the rest of, until
Yeah.
next,
June.
Yeah, and then we'll just go through
Yeah.
there.
That's gonna be tough, on March 12th, that's the day after the voting. Like, any of you that work the poll, you're gonna be exhausted, I think that's too quick. I think you want in March, you either wanna forego or push it to the original, or push it off later, don't you think?
Yeah.
You won't even have results till morning on some of them.
19.
You could go the 19th, yeah, or the 26th, as long as it's stated on the calendar, I
Yeah.
think it's okay.
Yeah, we can push it, that's fine.
Even if you don't have a date, I think if we let the slot put TBD
Yeah.
there so that we all know we should have one and what works for the group would
Yeah.
probably be
And as
beneficial.
we kind of get up to that
Right,
date, we can say, okay, where's everybody's calendar?
right.
Yeah, and then I wouldn't do the rest of them, because depending on your makeup of your folks, you might even change the day,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, so we'll go till March.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, the next thing was Budget Committee 101, and Chris and I worked on this, so, Chris, I don't know if you wanted to speak to it first, or if you wanted.
Sure, I guess these are things that we talked in general about. Then I was left, we were left to our devices, so that sometimes cannot be a good thing, and I can meander along and so, as we spoke, we just want some, not only for ourselves, but we know that the budget committee is gonna change, and we just want them to be prepared. What governs this body? And I think more or less how the process, I think, for this committee should work. We all should, or we kind of know, but we have some guidelines. They are guidelines, right? They can
And these are in
change.
draft.
Yeah.
And this is draft.
Yep.
Please, this is definitely draft. And some of these things you made that my suggestions probably read a little bit more like a construction sequence, because that's how my brain works a little. And it's nice to have people who can temper me. Thank you, Amanda, on some items. Like, you shouldn't say that. This is not a construction job. So, bottom line is, I think if we just run through it, we have what's the objective? We prepared that.
Mhm.
Everybody, you know, I don't know if you want to make comments now, but read it and come back with comments later. First
I
of all,
think we could read it, give it to the rest of the members, and
Yeah.
then
make
vote it in at the next meeting. I
or
think-
make change, yeah, okay,
Yeah, I
whatever
think
you
on
guys want to
first
do.
review, it looks really
Okay.
complete.
So the first thing is, what is our major what is the overall objective? Blah, blah, blah. I know I'm mocking some of the work we've done here on this, but I just think, what is our objective, right? Does everybody kind of agree with that statement?
Do we want to take time to read it now?
Or what do you want to do? Or just go through it?
Well, I think we can look it over, but I
Yeah.
think that we give it to, like Jamie said, give it to the rest of the committee and then have them come back with,
Ideas?
bring it, we can talk about it again next meeting if
Yes.
we need to, and then if there are any changes or critiques that we want to make,
I think
then
that's best.
we can do it and then we can vote on it
Right.
next time.
Yeah, because you can make the changes on the fly.
Exactly.
Send,
Okay.
if you wanna send it.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you wanna send it in a Word doc, you could make the changes right on it.
Yeah.
And then, probably print it out, put it on a stick and stuff in our
Yeah.
thing. And then we could vote it right there.
Right,
I don't
So-
think there'll be a ton of changes. It looks really complete.
yeah, the
Good
one
job.
The one thing that we want, and we might want, you guys, not might, but we need, your input on is when we talk about communication and email,
Right.
we were having some hard time coming up with, we want to state the importance of confidentiality while also balancing the public meeting rules.
Yeah.
And really kind of looking at some guidelines and some principles for that, and we also
meeting
wanted
law,
to,
yeah.
talk about, making sure that transparency among the committee is accomplished as well.
Yes.
Too. And we've heard it from Lori in the past where there were a couple of meetings where she would say, well, I emailed so-and-so that, or I emailed so-and-so that, and, or sometimes it was even to the board, right? So we want to make sure that just that how the information is requested and
The info flow.
right, and how it comes back down to everybody. So that's one thing where I think we need your, everyone's kind of thought process on that.
And to memorialize it in
Right.
writing, yeah, so you have an
Exactly.
information flow on
Right.
what the expectations are, because we can share this with the board too. I mean,
Yeah, I think when we're finalized, I mean, for me, we did talk about what the, you know, what governs us, we always ask, well, it's right here.
Yeah,
And then we have the committee governance and the last bullet, if we jumped all the way back.
yeah,
This is really everything that governs this right here.
yeah.
So, but what Amanda said, for me, it is the roles and responsibilities, everybody needs to look over in communication, those are the two things.
Yeah.
And how everybody feels about how they're broken out, again, they can be changed at any time by the next group. But I think it gives people a little bit of a sense of, yeah, of how this is supposed to operate, or should operate.
There's one other thing you need to add in here.
Sure.
And I don't know if it belongs under committee authority or some other section.
Yeah.
But we are governed by RSA 91A,
Okay,
so I think it belongs,
91A, I'll have to read that, I haven't read
that's
that.
the right to know law.
Yes.
Okay, so I can put that under, that would be a good bullet point down on the last sheet, right?
Under meetings,
Yeah, and even
Well, it's
under,
even-
well, under
Communication.
communication,
Because
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
send an email
Yes.
to everyone, that's public.
that's perfect spot to put it, Chris, right under communication.
Yeah.
It's open meeting law.
Did you say RSA 91A?
Yes,
Okay, I'm gonna,
Is that colon, your colon?
I think so. I
91.
we just did
I
a
think it's-
training on it.
91A. The other thing that I want to do is when we have, well, and for this group as well, I know that some of us are paperless and that's wonderful, but also to print out these sections, there's a lot of sections here, but they're not that long.
right,
So print it all out and say, here's your governance statutes. Here you go. And so that everybody, you can have it, we can reference it, we don't have to look it up.
So it's 91-A:2.
okay, :2.
So that we have it. And then we can make that part and then in March, when we are discussing the calendar, we get this, right? The new or returning members get this, they get the RSA packet.
Sure.
And
all
then-
together. Sorry, it's all A. Chris,
Yeah,
it's all
okay,
A.
it's
There's
all A.
1, 2, 3, it's got what, 5 parts?
All right, so 91A should cover us,
Yeah,
all right,
And then, the one thing that we
Yeah.
haven't touched on for this budget committee 101 is the methods, right? So we want to make sure everybody gets a copy of the methods and the articles of agreement and,
Right.
so that's flowing into documents then, right?
yes,
Yeah, but
yes,
it's also
sorry,
part of
yes.
the budget 101.
right.
Yes.
So let's,
Yeah, go ahead.
can we, no, can you say what you just said? Because I want to put it
Yeah.
here.
We want to do the guidelines, we want the
Yeah.
calendar, we want the, the articles of
Articles of
agreement
agreement, yeah,
with the methods, which the methods are in the
Yeah,
articles.
yeah.
But then
there's
also,
a method sheet that explains it as well.
and, also for those who've never done it before, what like the MS, what the MS forms
Sure,
are.
a short abbreviation, so maybe a copy of the forms that are filed, budget forms, okay, so copy of budget forms that are filed with maybe a cover page with the dates.
Yep.
And what they are.
What they are, right, and
Yep.
so that you know
Yep.
what, I mean, before coming here, I couldn't tell you
Sure.
what an MS 22 was,
Yeah.
or an MS 27, or. Or any, you know, any of that.
Yep, no, that's good, yeah. And then what else do you think you want in there?
We said statute packet, but We can do that.
Hey, what about if we could, what do you think? You've gone through it because you were a sitting board member. So, and maybe you have too. I don't know if you're a select board member or not. They put out a New Hampshire budget book. You know what I mean? Remember like, course we went through the budget building book, remember the little book was like bound. They put it out, the New Hampshire Municipal Association puts out, oh, they put out a budget book. I'll grab one. It's old. Mine's older. I'm going. I think it's free if you're, I bet it's free if you're a budget committee member. I'll find out. So I will, that's an action item. I will bring that to the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, I might be able to download it. And be, you know what I mean? But it's a great, it goes through like everything about budget building for school districts, towns, yeah. So it's really a wealth of information. And it goes through, it's really in layman's terms, it's easy to understand. And it also gives you the dates and the RSAs that go with them.
Perfect.
So it just happened to dawn on me that, yeah, okay, they have a wonderful book. That we can, you know, add in with our stuff.
Yeah. We can also, yes, hard copy, but then put it in a folder in the, on the drive. Well, and we can call it, I don't know, welcome packet orientation.
Yeah, orientation.
101, I don't, the name doesn't matter to me, but that we can put it all there. And you can even organize it by year, right? So 24, 25, this is the 101 packet for 24, 25, and then in 25, 26, we say, oh, but we need something else, or we don't need but that, or we're gonna change this. So you can have that historical information right there on the drive as well.
So how's this on the drive?
The one thing about the drive, and I might be jumping around a little bit here,
That's okay.
but where, do we have rights to add folders to the drive?
I don't know, that's a good question. That's an action item. So
Like, can we organize the drive?
I think that was an action item on our May meeting minutes. Got your copy? You read it?
Here?
Oh, down to that. I think it was. I think we asked that. Yeah, it's an action item on the bottom. Committee needs a refresher on how the shared Google Drive will be accessed and organized by the administration for ease of use moving forward. Who can help us with this? IT, board secretary and or BA. Can budget committee chair be an editor or host on this drive? Question mark. So that should be a follow-up at our next meeting of the board, because they probably didn't have these.
Okay.
I brought it up at one of the meetings, but I'm not sure.
Christopher took those one.
So so I'll just put Google Drive action item to the select board,
Governing board.
school board.
Yeah.
Government board, school board,
Well,
whatever.
I knew it wasn't the select board.
Sorry. That's the
Perfect.
last bullet.
All right, that's all I had on 101. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Chris?
No, other than I'm hopeful, I think they're worthwhile. It's just, it's information
I think it's great.
really for me, it's about being transparent. And I think that we can hang our hat wherever we want if we're one of the most transparent groups and that we work together as a group.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hopeful for. I did find reading the rules really interesting. And wow, we got more authority than I thought. According to what the previous superintendent didn't think we did, but we have a lot of authority,
We do.
a lot.
Yeah.
And we can
According to
ask,
the RSA's.
yes, and we can ask and get whatever we want.
That is true, as long as the people who you're working with can find it.
Or in a timely manner, we'll get, yeah. So anyway, I really did find that to be interesting. Yeah, I'm hoping so.
Yeah, I really do all the way around. I know they're already working on the budget, like the administration is already like working.
Yeah.
Which is big change from last year. Okay. So this is awesome. Thank you, guys. Great job, both of you. I feel like a failure.
I guess, on the changes, if we can, just for clarification.
Yeah.
In this instance, I'm gonna be playing secretary. I'll do the final type up of this, so no
Okay.
one else has to. So whatever changes you guys or we agree upon.
Yeah.
I'll put them on and do the final version. Just
Okay.
saying, okay?
Sounds great.
Because there's a lot on Amanda's plate. I mean, there's a lot. And someone said our Elsted rep is on board now.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
she's away on
Couldn't be
vacation
here
now.
today.
Okay, I just became aware and I just wanted to make sure. And I know we hadn't really had an opportunity to talk with her about this. She
Right.
was supposed to be, so
Yeah, so
I'm just putting that out there. We didn't have a lot of time to talk to her.
I think this is great, and I think putting it on the shared drive
Yeah,
will be awesome. Really want to know the next level from the IT staff or whatever is, I would like that drive to be shared with the public. I want the public to be able to get
speaking
to
my
it.
language. it
Because
should be.
all of this information, if the public could get to it, they might be more interested in help and serve.
Right.
Right?
Sure.
It wouldn't be such a mystery, right? So, and there's nothing that's put on and you could have a section on the drive where if it was sensitive information.
Yeah, we could.
It's
redact
separate,
it or hide it or
right?
whatever.
But for anything that's not sensitive information, that can be, everything can be shared basically, except for HIPAA protected information.
HIPAA
Or
and
legal.
social security stuff.
Yeah, and legal.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean,
That would be great.
I think to that point, if wherever they go to get the meeting minutes, if the rest of the stuff that's open on what we're doing could be attached.
If we could ever get where the budget's on public.
Yeah.
As it's moving, maybe not every day, but there's a
Yeah.
picture, that would be,
Yeah,
that would be wonderful in the world of
Yeah.
things,
yep,
someday.
I think, I'm hopeful for different changes this year.
Yeah.
Okay. On to 2.3,
Hmm.
gathering informational document samples.
Yeah, so Jamie and Steve have failed you on this one. We'll do it prior to the next meeting, I promise.
Okay.
That's fine.
I started doing it last night when I was looking through all my old stuff on my stick and I went, oh, that's what we wanted, and that's what we want. I started pulling them down onto here. But Steve and I have not gotten together, so
Okay.
we'll keep that item on the action plan. We kind of, so you all talked about some of the pieces that were important, right?
Yes,
And so we know those, we just gotta pull them out so that we can say to the administration, we want this and this and this and this and this. And we already have a list, don't we have a list already out there? We have a list for them. Did we send them a list? Not yet,
No,
well, I don't think we did yet.
okay,
not, the standing administration at this point has
Yeah.
not been bothered by the budget committee.
okay, gotcha.
We,
Giving them a little time to get their mojo going with the new bodies.
yep, we can come out of this meeting with
In the list,
with
some,
something, correspondence to the
Yeah.
administration.
Lori is going to send over the documents from the board meetings. So her presentations at the board meetings, she is supposed to give them to us to disseminate. And I'm confused a little bit if she's gonna send them to me, or if she's gonna send them to the whole committee, or if she's gonna send them to Gabe. So it could be going to me or Gabe, and then me or Gabe disseminates them to the entire committee, or she could just be sending all the documents to the entire committee. So, but we did have a thought that she was going to, her reports from the board meeting, they were gonna come to the budget. So,
so a follow-up is how are they gonna be disseminated?
I know she used to be fond of dumping stuff in the Google Drive
That's okay if we do it by date,
and we
okay?
can find it.
Right, I just,
So
yeah,
I
that
mean,
was
I'm just,
painful.
right, before
Very,
I think
very
before we
painful.
have this question answered about.
Very
Can we
painful.
control, if we can control the drive
yeah,
and move stuff where we want it to go in the drive, then her dumping it into the drive and having a place for it to go in the drive.
Right.
Is absolutely feasible. Otherwise, if it's just as easy, she can just email it to the committee,
sure.
or email it to one of us and we email it to the committee.
Because we could have separate folders on it,
Right,
yeah, like a folder for, you know,
The BA,
requested
yeah,
information,
all
right?
right,
A folder for information that the business administrator is given to the school. I mean, you have a million folders on there, right? But put it in the right one so that you know when you go in what you're looking at.
yeah, and where to go, so we don't have to put,
Yeah, with the date. Date of document.
yes.
You know,
And what's our naming convention?
here we go.
Document, I'm
Lots of
sorry.
zeros and dots and
Yeah.
letters. I did have a question, you know, those forms, the format's important, Jamie. I know you know that,
Yeah,
not just handing us stuff, documents, but the format of those documents that makes it easier for us to rifle through.
so I think at our next regularly scheduled meeting, now I'm thinking we should have another meeting in August, but it's gonna be tough. So we should probably talk about, each one of us should look at the documents and say how we read them,
Hmm,
right?
sure.
Yes,
Because depending on what you're looking for,
Mhm.
you read them differently.
Yeah.
Right? Right, so yes, we should have that conversation about what format makes the most useful sense. Which will follow into the 2.3, you know, documents
yes,
that we wanna see,
Mhm.
right?
absolutely.
Is it helpful? I probably asked this 6 times, never done that, sorry, apologies before I say it.
Hmm.
Um. Would it be helpful to see some other formats from other places? Or not? Do you not think so? Cause we've been like all around Maloney's barn with information here, like we, you know. Last year we got different information than the first year, cause you know, Steve Barone was with us, and so he was used to seeing things a certain way, so they came out that way, which is fine. If you're looking for the same thing he was looking for, right? But if you're not looking for what he's looking for, it may not help. So I don't know if it's helpful to see documents that are given out in budget packets to other districts to say, wow, this is really helpful way to receive this information or not. Because I can very easily, I don't think we could do it in a meeting, but I could very easily between today and our next meeting date, compile a few of those and send them out to you so you could see what that looks like.
I think it might be helpful to see that in, and also like in conjunction to, like, because case in point, right, we have this,
Well, so I played with that, yeah.
right, but even if we didn't, even if you hadn't played with it, it was still, it's still it's a great Excel document that we requested to look at. But then why you're looking at it, and then how do these numbers, like, what's the process, right? Like, how do these numbers contribute to the bottom line type of, I'm not,
I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
What's the story,
Right.
right? Or what can you glean from this set of numbers that either would or wouldn't make it helpful, right? Or usable information.
right,
Because we can get a spreadsheet of all this information, right? And try to answer some of our own questions or come up with some questions. But you know, you need to have the time to be able to sort through it and look at it in different ways.
right,
And B, you know, need to know what the questions are you're trying to answer, right? So I think just getting a set of numbers without backup data behind the sections, right? Aren't meaningful.
Right.
And so what I mean by that is like, my perception, you should be able to, and this isn't a knock on Lori, because I know we're being taped here. It was her first year and it was a whirlwind, right, without a lot of guidance and having to explain stuff to people who didn't know, you know, what New Hampshire was about. So having a set of 100s, which are salary numbers, right? and not knowing how many FTEs that represents, which means full-time equivalents, right? So how many bodies does that number you're giving me represent? Because without that, it's just a really big number.
Right.
It doesn't mean a hell of a lot.
I
Right?
think to add to our list, sorry, I'm cutting you off, I
You're right.
apologize. Function codes, object codes,
Yeah.
and to make, we had it at one point, like, these are all these functions.
So I'm gonna send that to you from me. Because I've done that for my school board and I shared that with the school board here 2 years ago.
Yes,
So I will share that again and it tells you, and I think I did one for Fall Mountain. So you, so here's what you need to know, right? Review. Every single school district's account streams are different.
right,
They will have whatever series, they can have 40 numbers if they want, okay? Ours is great because it only has like, I think, 12 positions. Freaking Hanover's got like, oh my God, 21. So, but within those strands, it's GASB, government accounting strands, right? So all of those strands mean the same thing, no matter what district you look at, no matter what town, those codes will mean similar things. So I did that, I drew that up on the breakdown of the codes and what they all meant and the funds for Fall Mountain when I
that
came.
needs to go in our,
Okay, so let's go back up here in the 101.
yes, in our
Yeah.
one packet,
So
sorry,
we
I
want-
didn't mean to.
No, that you're
cut you
good.
off.
No, it's good. When you have the thoughts, you gotta put them out there. So, that's a select board, that's a school board handout on codes. I actually took the one I did for up in Hanover and I redid it for you. On function, codes and locations. All right, great, yes, yeah, cause you don't even know what you're looking at, right? Without that, yeah.
Would be
Okay.
nice.
I mean, the description kind of tells you, but,
Right,
you know. Okay, that's good. Format is important, and so for us, this is just for the minutes. For the budget committee, that's us, BC. We need to figure out what formats work for us, right?
yes,
I know I can't watch this now. It's like, can we do the minutes? It's good. Okay. All right, what's next on your good thing?
the report from administration, if applicable, because we didn't know, when I sent this out, we didn't know if they were gonna be attending, and I think I sent this out before the resignations, so, but I didn't know if you wanted to talk about, and then review or discussion of information received,
I
so,
could do that,
yeah.
could do that. Okay, so what number is that? Two?
That is,
Three.
we're at 4. Three is not applicable, so we're at 4. Did you get this?
No, I'll be right over.
I got one. It's in pretty colors and I'll send it to you if you want in an Excel spreadsheet.
me?
No, no,
Pretty colors.
I'm gonna send you one on an Excel spreadsheet. I just
I
can't.
copied it right here on this one.
Yeah.
And pretty colors on hers.
Oh.
And
Okay.
We get it.
All right, Grace.
When I send it to you, so. So what I did was I took the spreadsheet that I shared with everybody
Yeah,
and. I went in and I said, because this is based on one of our conversations about wanting to look at variances.
mhm.
So variances are the dark column, the dark gray column.
Oh, gotcha.
On yours is the pink one.
Yeah.
So well, it will be pink and green, okay, sorry, on Graves is pink and green, because they gave them the color chart. You can't see the green on this one. So it's the last column, the budget balance column. The dark gray will show variances that are in deficit larger than $1,000. Okay, so what I did was I said, I'm gonna sort this, I wanna look at 3 different things. So I sorted it and I took out all variances on over budget items, $1,000 or more. I then sorted them by object code, that's the second column.
Mhm.
Okay, that's OBJ, that's object code. Object code in GASB budgeting, all 100s are salaries, 200s are benefits, 300s are services, 400s are, and it goes on, okay? And so you can look at them, we can look at them. So I then sorted them by object code, so I could get totals, all right, of what's going on within the object codes, because it tells a story, right? And so the story, depending on whether you sort them by function, which I didn't do, that would be my next item that I'll do. I didn't have time, sorry, but by object, it will tell you a story of like, where are we overspending different things that we take care of, right? Because we've been going along this whole time saying salaries and benefits are where we've had all these savings because we can't fill positions, right?
Right.
And so I sorted it by two different data points. And again, $1,000 in deficit, then on the back side, further back, it's sorted by $1,000 under budget, which means surplus, okay? $1,000 or more surplus, and I did it by object again. So this is what I see. I'm just gonna tell you quickly what I see, and then ask me questions. So my observations are this. There were 244 lines that sat at $1,000 over budget, okay, which means they were over expended. In the, you don't have to write this down, I can make you a copy of my notes, if you don't want to write it up. In the wages of what I sorted, there were wage lines that sat at 1.16 million over budget. Okay, there were retirement payouts that were not budgeted accordingly of 99.3, so it's $99,300. There were substitute costs over budget of $136,000, okay? That's in those salary lines. So those are the top three pieces of those salary lines. In the 200 lines, which is that next line down, at the bottom, that's where it starts. Those are all benefit lines, okay? So it will be associated benefits to salaries. So the health lines that are shown here, and they're not all of ours, because we have savings in the same lines in the other side. The health lines were over in these sections by 323,000. The dental was over by like 3.9 thousand, just about 4. The health opt-out, which means if you don't take health insurance, you get a payout. Those budget lines are over 28.4 thousand, so 28,400. The Social Security Medicare lines were over about 58,000. That's gonna ring true because you had wages up here that were over. So those correlate, okay? The retirement, New Hampshire retirement was over 161. That correlates with the over on the salaries. The 403B lines were over 28.6 thousand, almost 29,000. And the workers' comp, which again is gonna correlate with having wages that were over of 103,000. Or they just weren't budgeted correctly, okay? So it could be a couple things. With New Hampshire retirement system, it could be that the rate wasn't correct when it was budgeted or projected, all right? So we're not gonna know that on this budget because Lori didn't build this one, all right? She inherited it. There could be a multitude of reasons for that. In the 300 lines, so if you go to the third page, the 300 lines starts with 321, goes to 391. So there are this is over 86,100 in total. You can see in there, there's PD for tuition, there's equipment contracts that are over, there's a professional development line that's over, you know, so some of those lines, they're all over the place, right? There's not really big, well, there's a $20,000 one for professional development. There's a couple $11,000 ones in there for contracted services. In the repair lines, which are just below that in the 400s, the repair and maintenance lines are over 300,000 in total. So we knew that was gonna happen, right? Because remember, those are the projects, some of the projects that were not allowed to go into ESSER because we didn't follow the regulations.
Yeah.
Okay, so we knew those lines were gonna be over. She reported on that, okay? The construction services lines are over about 121,000. That's again a part of the ESSER stuff, okay, that was not followed through on appropriately by the prior administrations. not the one in place right now, not the finance in place right now. And then the other part of that is made up by like the miscellaneous pieces there about the energy equipment lease and the water and sewer. Those are real small, about $6,500, okay? And I'll give you all these, I'll give you this information in the notes, I'll write it up. The insurance lines were over 142,000, however, they are booked in the wrong spot. Because you're gonna see in the savings area, there's a savings of 90-something thousand. So some of the expenditures have not been booked to the appropriate lines, okay? Tuition for River Valley is over 106, tuition for SPED was 295, these are thousands. And voice and travel, which is phone, all that was over just about 13,000, 12.8. Again, some of that, you're gonna see big savings down below. So it's possible that either the kiddos moved, okay, from different grades and it just didn't shift over to the appropriate lines when it was expended or budgeted, they just didn't match. But there are savings that large on the other side. The curriculum in the 600s, it's the last line and then you flip the page. The 600s are like your supply lines. So in this section, you have curriculum that's over 125,000, and we knew some of that. And then software just under 100,000 and other supply lines about 20,000. I'm thinking some of this may get moved into grant funded adventures that hasn't been caught up yet. It's very possible those are in the wrong, they're expended to the wrong lines. I'll follow up with Lori. The equipment lines, the 730s are all equipment, and we're over there 262,000. But again, one of them, the M4, that's buses. So that's 244,000. I think it may be in the right lines, but it has an offsetting revenue that's coming in. Okay, because we're not looking at revenues, we're only looking at expenditures, okay? And then your 800s are licensure and certifications, 7,500. It's not bad. And then food service, that's the transfers, meaning that transfer wasn't budgeted for the high school of 22,800. I don't know why the high school wasn't budgeted for, but it wasn't. Okay, so those are the over expenditures. So the next set, right below where we just ended on the 930, where it says 1,100, 112 wages teachers, North Charlestown. These are savings, these are surpluses. So you can see there's a surplus on that first line of 300, just under $315,000. So we knew that because we did right here. We did you've got, is it green? It's yellow. Yeah, here's a yellow. Oh, they're supposed to be green, but my copier sucks, I think. Right over there. This is supposed to be green game. Sorry, the copier didn't pick it up. So where it says wages there, we have all of these wage lines were under expended. Okay, so this is all surplus. And we have surpluses in wages of $1.7 million. Not spent. Okay.
So not spent, not transferred because North Charlestown got shut down.
No, they left it in the lines that they belong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so some of the over expenditures
You're
up
right.
above could be because when they moved them, they charged them to the building they were in instead of the building they came from.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Mhm.
so, when you look at the benefits that are associated with that $1.7 million that wasn't spent.
Yeah.
The benefits are just about $848,000 in surplus.
And that tracks.
Yeah, and it tracks, yeah, and then you go to the 300 lines. I'm sorry, I didn't put page numbers on these, I apologize.
This is 6th page.
Yeah, it's your 6th page, yeah,
And by that I mean 7.
7. Flip the surface. Okay, so, might be the 8, 9, 10, it might, I don't know, anyway, it starts with 27, 29, 310, homeless transportation costs.
Yeah.
So that whole section of those 300s totals 226,000. The big ones there were 81,600 professional services for instruction. That's high school 400 level, and then legal counsel 20,000 we didn't spend. And then 24,000 in athletics, high school athletics wasn't spent, other purchase services. And then if you go down to the 400s, it's $214,000 not spent. A lot of that snow plowing, because we didn't have a hard winter. 37,000 of repair and maintenance at the high school. And then flip it over, and then you can see there was energy equipment lease. Not spent out, so that was savings, that's good, and then the bus lease. District wide. And then the only one that concerns me that I'm gonna follow up on at the board level. Is the construction services for Langdon, that's a 4,000 line, I wanna make sure that that money that wasn't spent. Isn't due back directly to Langdon, if that came off a specific special warrant article.
Yep.
Where it was pulled out of capital reserve, it has to go back to capital reserve if it wasn't spent, it does not roll the regular surplus. That is a special warrant article, okay, so I'll double check that with Lori to make sure that. If that was pulled out and for some reason we couldn't get the job done, or I don't know, or maybe it didn't come in as much as we thought it would. Anything like that on a 4,000, if it was pulled out and not raised by taxes, it should go back in.
Question.
Yeah.
564.
Yeah.
Sped tuition private schools, M6.
Exactly, so that's
What is
underspent.
that?
So that is tuition, right? So
Yeah.
for out of district students. So remember when I said up here, we overexpended? a
So that's
line?
people coming in.
No, these are children that we send out to other places. Yeah,
Gotcha.
these are all expenses. It's just an expenditure, but it's a budget line that we didn't spend at all.
Gotcha.
So it could be that the kiddos we thought were gonna be in that line got
Right.
moved to a different line because.
Okay.
Because usually when you have out of district sped,
Okay.
you have out of district sped for in-state or out of state or private or,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Or perhaps they kept the student in or the student may have moved, right? Sometimes you budget for them and then they move. And so then you're not liable. So that's a savings that kind of offsets the over expenditure that we saw up above. You'll also note, Chris, that there was a $76,000 savings, if you will, or it wasn't
Mhm.
spent out. The top line, which is purchase services, special ed transportation.
Yeah.
So that would have been special transport services to send students probably to day schools outside of the district.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So in that whole 600 or 500 series, there were surpluses of 644,000. And sped made up the bulk of it.
Do you guys,
Yeah.
if we have a student like in Charlestown
Yeah.
that needs to go to the Walpole program?
Yeah.
Is there an in,
What's
what's that called?
it's a special method.
Okay,
And they don't, I don't
because
believe.
we would bus, right, from Charlestown to there.
Oh,
We
yes,
would make
yeah,
parents
no,
drive.
no, no, you transport them.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
All right.
And I don't believe those are not. If there's no one-to-one aid, that was that whole discussion we had
Yeah,
at the deliberative, right? If there's no one-to-one aid
Yeah.
for that program, which I
Right.
think they call LEAP now, we used to call it
Yeah.
Skill Center. Then there's no charge back to the different districts.
Okay.
If it's a shared aid, right? All of the districts pay for that under a predetermined method of breakdown, okay? So those are shared costs.
gotcha.
And I don't remember what it's based on, so don't ask
Okay.
me off the top of my head, but we can look at those methods again. So under 6, I know, I'll move.
No,
on,
I'm not
'cause This
tired.
is not riveting stuff, but
No, but
Um,
when you do the, after we
yeah.
get the updated
yeah,
one
Lori.
from Lori,
Yeah.
can you do it again?
the same way.
Right, so
Sure.
that we'll have your notes, we'll
Compare it.
have your numbers, and
Yeah.
then we'll say, okay, here's the revised one.
Yeah,
And then we can actually have like targeted questions after
she's got it ready for
she's
audit.
got it ready for audit.
Yep, absolutely. Or you could pull the audited. You can actually pull the audited one, because what happens with an audit, they'll go through everything. And if they have journal entries that are made, adjusting journal entries from the audit, you go back in and you make the adjusting journal entries, and then we could get a copy of that, and then you have actually audited financials.
We could either way, but if
You can do
look-
both.
Great, so that we can, because the numbers
Yeah.
are, they, like you said, they tell a story and it's important to look at the 500s and the 500s and then just figure out.
Well, and the other story that you can look at is by department, which is what Chris is asking some interesting questions, right? And the board used to ask these questions. So you can, I can sort all this the same way by function. The function is the department, right? So we could look at regular ed, special ed, vocational, you know, you can look at library, you can look at, you know, support staff, you can look at transportation, you can look at
Drama club.
facilities. You can look at whatever you want and it will tell you where your savings were. And I think that what we're gonna see is, once we do it by function, probably the bulk of the, not savings, but you know, unexpended funds is gonna be in special ed. Cause we were not able to hire aides, and we have a lot of them. And so I bet we're gonna see a ton of surplus in that section when we sort it that way, and I'll sort it that way and send it out to you. So yeah, so I'm just almost done here. So the 600s were about 326,000. There, I don't believe there was any really big chunks in there. Oh yeah, a couple. 23,000 in propane at the high school, so the pricing, I think, had gone down. Diesel pricing had gone down, so we had 69,000 savings there. And then software and licensing, there's a district method one, I'm not sure, there's 23,000 not spent there. So, and then your sevens are your equipment lines, very small, spread out all over the place, total 62,000. And then your 800 lines are your dues and awards and contingency. So this tells me that the 6,500 and the DCIA idea awards, that should have been spent out. So there are expenditures of 6,500 or maybe a little bit less than that. I don't know how many awards they gave out, that's sitting in those other lines up above. They should be
It
here.
hasn't been-
Yeah, that hasn't been moved. And then your 900s are your food service transfers. We booked food service transfers for Walpole, Alsted and Charlestown, that were higher than what was necessary to transfer. So, and that happens. So I don't know, when I know we're running surpluses, my suggestion to any business administrators is to budget those low. Budget those low. If you're running a surplus, you're gonna move the money over, you have to by law, right, to cover any deficits in your food service program. But budget it low, because otherwise, you know, you're tying up money for something you might not need,
Right.
right? So all the other lines that I didn't show you, there's a ton of lines, like our district has like 3,000.
Yeah.
There are 1,240 other lines that I suspended, that I didn't show, they net out to $30,000. Okay,
So-
and they're all under 1,000, going both directions, deficits and under expended. Okay, so I squished those in the middle of all of this and just hid them, so this would only be 9 pages instead of 30.
That, I think this just really helped with
Okay.
to,
So that's the story.
yes.
I will send this out to you sorted like that, so if you wanna look at it in real time online and or play with it, I'll send it out again. And I'll put a nice spread thing with the notes, okay?
Yeah.
And then I want to do it by function too.
Yeah.
But I will probably maybe wait for Lori to see how far along she and her team
Yeah.
on cleaning it up before we do it by function.
Yeah.
Cause that'll be important for us to see that, where the function differences are, what the reasons. might be.
Yeah, and that's how I think we first got it by the. Actually forgot her name, but that's fine.
Lori?
No,
Mary.
Oh, Mary, yeah.
Mary gave that first one that I think that was all, well, it was-
Yeah.
the format was nice and it was by function.
Yeah.
And that's
That's
when I
all
first,
of what we get when they've consolidated it,
Right.
they're showing it to you by
by
function.
function, but I like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
as well. I
Yeah.
like it always.
It's all, I think it's important to see it both ways,
Yes,
and I've had that conversation with her.
Yeah.
Because it tells two different stories,
Certainly does.
so,
But it's
so,
a piece, right? Like, so it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, no, it's not every-
story.
but
It's a
it's
piece
a
of the
piece of the
story, and
story.
you need to be able to see it from both, like,
Correct.
both pieces, so you can actually understand the entire story.
so we can formulate good, important questions, right, on, you know, do you need to budget this much over here? Why was this not spent, you know? And again, we'll have better data coming, it sucks as a business administrator to come in and have not built that budget, right?
Right, well, you
And
can,
then have all these things that you don't know why those numbers are in there the way they are, right? So some of it you can look at and go, well, this is perhaps what happened and figure out the story, but a lot of it. Assuming she stays for a few more years,
Yes.
and I mean, I have no reason to think that she won't, we'll have a better understanding. Because it will be her work and she'll be able to answer the questions.
So you know, what was the surplus in the end? Do we have it?
is it here, is it this one?
Well, yeah, I think you got that. You got it from her at the
Yeah, that's
other
what she-
meeting, yeah. 1.4.
Okay.
1.4. Did you have this from the other meeting?
I sent it out for the entire.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I must not
Okay.
have printed it at home.
No.
I'll expense that to the, Alma Regional School.
Yeah, I think the estimated on 630 was just over 2 million. The school board. Hold on. The school board did. Choose to move some things that we were going to finance. Out of there, we took a vote, don't ask me, I don't remember the 3 items, there was 3 items. So I think that's what brought it down to the 1.4. The buses, there were 3 buses instead of financing them,
Okay.
I think that we took out of there.
You don't have to go to the public to vote on that?
No,
Okay. So that's like
2
500.
buses, 2 buses,
No,
235, 640, you're saving $28,000 of interest. Well, you're saving, it's a savings, and she shared with us. There's another document, I'll get it for you. Before that was discussed and done, she shared with us what the tax rates projected would look like based on the differences that we were voting. So we had that data to look at before we made the decisions. Right. That should be in our minutes from the last. But I will pull it up shortly. That's it for the follow-up on the financials that I have for now. So that's action item under 4.
Yes, so right now for information requests, I have the question for the board about the drive. I don't even know if it's an information request, it's an action item, but about the Google Drive.
I have that, yeah.
And then specifically in the sheet, you were gonna ask about the line. Where is it? It's 4,000.
Oh, Langdon's.
Yeah,
line.
4,451.20.
Yeah.
About Langdon, and then, the projected tax rates document.
Yep, got that.
And then the only other thing is that, so she gave this, Laura gave us to us from the June, May meeting. Yes, I think this was for the May meeting.
Okay.
I don't know,
You're gonna have a new one when I send out what I'm gonna send you.
Okay.
right, so I don't know, that's, but understanding. During the school year, they're gonna come out monthly, this report will come
We're
out
hoping,
monthly,
yes.
but now it's not school, so I don't know if should I be expecting another one right now? I don't know.
There's not much that goes on
Right.
June, July, August. I mean, July and August. So usually you get your first one will be September.
Okay, so then for September.
Yeah.
We should have another report from Lori.
that every month report, really, we've been asking for 2 years to get there. It would be good with year 3. We get a monthly report from the
And
people.
I don't
That
know
would be
what,
awesome. It just really would set everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm calling this the report from Lori, but she probably has like an actual title.
Yeah,
Not just the report from Lori.
Something that was attached to our,
Yes,
it's called June 10th Business Report, so
right, so the business report.
business report.
and I don't see any roadblocks with our interim superintendent. She's like, whatever information you want, you can have. I believe, until October anyway, when there's a new one hired.
monthly, what did you call
Business
it?
report.
Thank you.
Michael got it for us. It's good, not just the report.
Well, that's just the file name, so
Well,
I
that's
figured
what-
that's what it's called.
Mine's a projection of year-end surplus.
Oh.
Start projecting year-end surplus in September. which
Okay.
is Very difficult.
But for information requests,
Mhm. New info.
right, I don't know if we have anything new to request at this week.
Is this number 5?
Yeah, this is number 5.
So how about how about I tell you what it should be coming out?
Yes, and we'll request that.
So, adequacy aid projections, which is affects revenue, right? Affects taxation,
Mhm.
yep. The DOE 25 filings, which she should be starting on soon, hopefully.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Those are in early.
And the MS 25. Cause that tells us what the actual surplus is,
Right.
right? What else is gonna come out? We could do this on our own, we don't have to ask her for that, it's posted by the state. We could take a look at, yeah, what's it called? Cause I'm gonna pull down mine, so I can pull down Fall Mountains.
Okay.
It's, per pupil cost as compared to, you know, others of our size. So the per pupil cost reports, I think, if they're not out for well, they won't be out for 23, 24, because they have to wait for the DOE 25 to come in. But we could look at 22, 23. I should think we would want to ask about what the enrollments are. Right, what the enrollments are in the different school class sizes and all. Enrollments and class sizes as of,
Is that a projection?
but like actuals, so that we can. Cause if we have actuals, we can actually project it forward. Just on
Actuals for this year,
and normally they do that for October 1, we're just gonna ask for the early one.
yeah.
To report to you, I think you probably already have heard, if you haven't, you know. The inability to hire certain positions is proving to be difficult to open the Langdon Sarah Porter School because of safety reasons, not with the building is fine, we did a lot of safety upgrades to the building before I left. Safety reasons with having children in the building and only having 2 adults, if one adult is injured or something happens. Usually they want to have 3 adults in the building. So they are having a discussionary session tomorrow night. They had a special meeting on it, I think it was, I couldn't go last Thursday, thank you. It was taped, it is online, if you want to take a look. So I don't know how that's what's gonna come of that, but just so you know, it's out there. And apparently, Alstead, the numbers in Alstead at the primary are looking to be really tiny.
Tiny.
So, I think the school board will be embarking on that conversation again. I can't speak for the whole board, but I know that the discussion has come up multiple times.
And I think,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, I guess there are just things always rattle in my mind. It's always nice to know at the end of budgeting season, what's the forecast for the children gonna be next year, because. I mean, staffing is
Yeah.
where most of the money
Oh,
is,
yeah.
the wages.
70%.
And sometimes we're gonna always be behind a year.
Mhm.
When they know, hey, we got a bunch of teachers with 10 kids, when they knew that last year, but we're just catching up to it the following year.
So that's this document?
Yeah,
Yeah, so, and I found I found this.
yeah,
In the original format when I was out looking for something else on my stick. So I'm gonna share that with the
Okay.
administration.
Yeah.
Because as we got this last year and as much as, you know, it was helpful, I think in its original format that we used to get was more helpful.
Sure.
Right,
Okay.
because it told you, this told you students per class, but the other one also showed you all FTEs in the building.
You know, another thing that I always got crossed in the earlier times was, well, we have this many teachers. Well, how many sixth grade teachers do
Right,
you have
exactly, yeah.
per student? You know, just don't give me the numbers of teachers, because sometimes they
Right.
add
Right.
temps or, you know, and it's like, something doesn't seem.
So the other document, and I'll pull it up and try to share it with you, I'm just gonna write it down here. I'm gonna put new old document, right, cause it's the old one, and you used to get it when you were on the board, and it goes this way, it goes vertical. And it will say, you know, class, how many students, how many IEPs, you know, how many teachers, how many aides. It tells you everything about what's going on within that school.
And for me, can we differentiate between the? When you get in there, sometimes they'll say, well, this is a teacher. I'm like, no, the classroom teacher.
Yes, they
You know,
do.
they make it
It
confusing.
does, no, it's on the other
Okay.
one, it says classroom teacher,
Okay,
and then it will say, what did it used to be, special, right? Specials, I think it said specials teachers, or, you know. It's other adults and what they're, you know, what
That's-
they were doing.
that would be awesome, because it is a.
Mhm. It's relevant. Yes,
Very.
yeah, it's relevant information,
Okay, good.
yeah. So yeah, that's the enrollment projection and staffing sheet. So we'll ask for that.
Perfect.
Usually those will come pretty early, because they're looking at that. They should be meeting on those issues right now too, like in early September, once they have their kiddos on site. What are you thinking? Any thoughts on,
Nope, you're covering it well.
okay,
All right, anything else for 5 information requests?
what about buildings? Well, they probably wouldn't have that yet, right? Are you on the building committee?
There really isn't one, but we did, assemble, an SOQ.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did put in our, for
Oh,
the,
yeah, okay, yeah,
and it came out, I'm not sure if anybody responded to the paid parking thing or the
Yeah.
engineers that
Yeah,
we're looking
yeah,
for.
yeah.
So, at
So-
least they have an official template, which is
okay.
got soup to nuts. It's really a good one, so.
So maybe we can request earlier than later capital needs. So it comes to the forefront of when we're having our discussions.
Yeah.
Right. Cause those are, you know, usually larger. Sure. And balances in the account. We ask for that.
I know the maintenance needs to get done,
Yeah, the capital needs, yeah,
the maintenance portion.
Yeah.
Not brand new maintenance.
yeah. Well, so it's all, yeah.
Yeah, it's all in there, but the maintenance portion. Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit of paint, a little elbow grease goes a long way.
Right. Under item 6, that's anything else we want to discuss? That we haven't already.
Pretty good.
Okay. And then
On
7,
target.
for communication. This is where we talk about messaging to the board. What we want to talk, what we want the board to know. So what do we want? What do we want Jamie to bring back to the board?
So I have my list of action items, right?
Well, you know, quite frankly, I want it to work both ways, and like, if Jamie's gonna be our communicator to the board, which I firmly support because she's here and she's part of the board. It would be nice to be able to get the information from the board, what they have to us, and I know part of it, you mentioned the BA's information going to them, we should get that. That would be great, that would be very helpful, you know.
It'll be helpful too, when the meeting is,
In between,
right, and, yeah, in between the meetings.
Yeah,
yeah, information and time and manner, yeah. Yeah,
we just
and-
want to
Yeah,
share.
well, and that's something we're discussing too at the board level.
Yeah,
So, if it's helpful, if not like right now, I don't think there's anything pressing right now, but if they want us or to be there or to be present or to discuss something or to, whatever, we can be there. And if all of us can't be there, then a couple of us can, I'm assuming, be there, we can make it work.
or if you need someone to sing the Star Spangled Banner in the opening.
That Chris can, so that's fun. Please put that in stone, that's what he's going to do.
Okay, I'm gonna tell them you're gonna do that, the deliberative session.
Oh my God, that'd be fun.
That would be fun, we're gonna sell popcorn.
I think it would be great.
But I think that maybe we share, I don't know, how do you guys feel about what we're requesting? The documents that we're requesting, so that the board is aware when we're requesting, and they don't have to pay a lot of attention to it, but that we're requesting these documents. And then at the next time we meet, if we're requesting these documents again, or, and it's for, and I know, we've been through the ringer, and I'm not
That's the
just,
information in a timely manner piece.
right, to
Yeah.
say like, to just kind of for that accountability checks and balances
Mm-hmm.
thing, that, this is what the information that work, and if we're not getting information,
Who do we notify?
right, exactly. So,
And that goes along, and if you mentioned it in your, what you were talking about, Amanda, was we were gonna put a sheet together, a tracking sheet of
Yes.
request.
we can
And-
start that with this right
Okay.
now.
We could put it in the Google, because we had a
Yeah.
Google shared.
Yeah, just
Thingy
an
with
Excel
requests,
spreadsheet.
It's a
and
matter of
tracking
who had,
questions.
did you have access to that? No? I don't know if I did or not. I might just because I'm a board member. Let me find out. I will try to, I can't do it with this machine. I have to do it with my little one. That they gave me.
But what we can do is we can start the spreadsheet of, of what we requested and when.
Yeah.
And then when we get access to that Google
Uh-huh.
to put it on, then we can make the live document that we can all
Yep,
have access to.
At least put those requests on the agenda or in the meetings that these are the.
To follow up on, right?
Yeah.
So like,
so I could share these with Misty tonight and ask her to put them on the school board's committee report section.
yeah,
Do you want that?
and then
You want
we
that?
could,
Understanding that Misty's away right now.
No, yeah, I know.
that's fine.
Yes, I know. Just call her on Monday.
But we will also put under the agenda for next meeting.
It
under
won't be on the one
information
Monday, it'll be on
requests.
the one after that.
Well, like we did
I'm
for
still gonna let Lori go.
the calendar and the 101.
Yeah.
And we'll have our list of information requests and, we can outstanding or completely, or like, we can
Sure.
keep track on our agendas as well.
At least try, right?
I got it, don't worry.
On the Google Drive, there is a folder,
No, you're there.
12/24/23. Additional information and responses to questions. That's the folder you're talking about.
I think we should have a new folder.
Yeah, I know. I know it's outdated, but yeah.
Yes.
I think
The
we had,
concept.
I think we had talked about the concept of having a spreadsheet where we can drop our questions or requests in.
Yes.
And then it would have columns where we put the date we requested it. And then when it's completed, they just pop a date in there. Because if they did that, I think it can email us and let us know that stuff's.
That something has been changed in the.
Now it's fun now. I think it can. Maybe.
But even, it's a one-stop, it's
Yeah.
about it's being organized so that
It's
our,
there.
right, it's there and that our communications are organized and our requests are organized. So that we can look in one place and we can say, here's what we requested, here's what's outstanding. When can we expect this information? So we can make decisions in time.
It will make us, I think, more efficient and better budgeters if we are organized, yes.
Mhm. Yes.
As best we can be.
Mhm.
I know we're gonna rely on others to get the information, to us. If we can be organized on our end,
Mhm.
Good.
I'll work on that. All right. Awesome. I'm sure Carl wants to go home.
Anything else so for next agenda? We're gonna follow up, we're gonna have, the final presentation of the calendar and the committee 101. Tammy and Steve are gonna give us information on the document sample. And then we have the information requests that we just talked about. And then looking for any information from the school board that's pertinent relative to the budget. Is there anything else for the agenda?
I'll note all the action items on the minutes. I'll
Yeah.
probably do them tonight, so I don't have to think about it, because I'm going into 4 budget committee meetings next week.
Doing fine. Okay, all right, Mr. Chairman, there's nothing else on the agenda.
Okay. Hearing no other discussion, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
second.
Moved by Amanda, seconded by Chris. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned at 8:02.
Perfect.